नमस्कार दोस्तों, बी अलर्ट में आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है। मैं हूं आपका दोस्त केतन क्रिश्चियन।
Jerusalem, 21st century. The city that has witnessed prophecies, wars, and eternal promises is now plunged into an unsettling silence, broken only by weeping and confusion. The streets are filled with disoriented people, pale faces, vacant stares. Something has happened, something no one can explain. In a matter of seconds, millions of people have vanished without a trace. The whole world panics, economies collapse, financial markets crash, planes are left without pilots, vehicles abandoned on roads, hospitals without staff. Chaos reigns. Communication networks are flooded with theories, rumors, and despair. No one has answers. In Jerusalem, the spiritual heart of the world, the scene is heartbreaking. Rabbis and devout Jews gather at the Western Wall, weeping, praying in anguish, gently tapping the ancient stones as they cry out to heaven, not understanding what has happened. Some murmur ancient texts, others simply fall to their knees, broken. The question is one: what just happened? Meanwhile, governments around the world are holding emergency meetings. The major powers are convening an extraordinary session at UN headquarters. The atmosphere is tense. Leaders from all nations, their faces hardened, exchange uncertain glances. Scientists, military personnel, analysts. No one has a concrete explanation. Some speak of an unknown phenomenon. Others suggest a global fault line. But there are those who, with trembling voices, dare to say the unthinkable. The end of humanity may have begun. In the midst of this scenario, filled with fear and despair, a figure begins to rise. A young man of approximately 30 years of age, whose name had already begun to resonate in certain international political circles, although he had not yet occupied a dominant position of power. However, his intelligence, confidence, and remarkable leadership skills were evident to those who knew him. His name is Adiel. The UN's main hall falls silent as he rises to his feet. His steps are firm, his gaze confident, his presence magnetic. He approaches the podium, observes the world leaders, and begins to speak. Leaders of the nations of the world, his voice is clear, firm, with an authority that surprises even the most experienced. My name is Adiel. Perhaps I'm unknown to many of you, and I understand that my youth might raise some doubts. But I'm not here by chance. He pauses briefly. The silence is absolute. For years I have prepared myself in silence. I have studied, I have observed, I have understood the systems that govern this world, and today, humanity faces the greatest crisis in its history. Some leaders nod slowly, others look at him skeptically. Millions of people have disappeared without explanation. Entire families have been separated in an instant. The global economy is on the verge of collapse. The order we knew has ceased to exist. Her voice intensifies, capturing everyone's attention. And although we don't have all the answers today, we can understand one thing. We are not alone in this universe. A murmur ripples through the room. For decades, he continues, organizations like NASA have warned of the possibility of life beyond our planet. What we have witnessed could be the result of external intervention, a possible invasion that is only just beginning. The impact of his words is felt in every corner of the room. That's why I haven't come here today to bring fear. I've come here to bring a solution. He leans slightly forward, his gaze fixed, intense. It's time to put aside our differences. It's time to unite as one humanity. Together we can prepare. Together we can protect ourselves. Together we can rebuild this world. Now her voice becomes more persuasive, almost hypnotic. And in the midst of this unprecedented economic crisis, I have the solution. A new system, a new order, a new era of global prosperity, like never before in history. Silence, and then anticipation. But to achieve this, he adds, I need your trust. Let me guide you. Let me lead this new beginning. The room falls into absolute silence for a few seconds that seem like an eternity. Then, someone starts to applaud, and another, and another. In a matter of moments, the entire room erupts in applause. Leaders of nations that were once enemies now stand. The live broadcast reaches every corner of the planet. In homes, shelters, streets, people look at screens with renewed hope. Yes! Someone shouts from the crowd. Adiel, be our leader! We trust you! Save us! The clamor becomes global. Back at the UN, one of the representatives takes the floor. We propose an immediate vote to establish central leadership to manage this global crisis. Hands begin to rise, one by one, without opposition. The decision is unanimous. It is approved, declares the president of the assembly. From this moment on, Adiel is recognized as the global leader of the nations. A deafening applause fills the room. Adiel remains standing, serious, resolute. But there is something more in his eyes. It is not just leadership. It's the beginning of something much bigger. And the world, without realizing it, has just stepped into the most tragic period of its history. At first, however, nothing seems to indicate what's to come. Under Adiel's leadership, the world begins to rise again. His first decisions are precise, calculated, almost perfect. It implements global economic strategies that stabilize markets, reorganizes supply chains, unifies financial systems, and within months, what seemed like an irreversible crisis begins to reverse. Currencies regain value, businesses resume operations, poverty begins to decline dramatically. Cities, which had descended into chaos, regain order. People smile again. News reports describe him as a genius. Analysts call him the man who saved the world. Adiel also promotes religious freedom globally. He declares that all beliefs must be respected, and that unity should not be based on impositions, but on coexistence. This generates even greater acceptance. Spiritual leaders from different religions begin to see him as a mediator, a man of peace. But in his mind, there is something bigger, a goal that goes beyond economics, beyond politics: Jerusalem. Adiel travels to the most contested city on the planet. The whole world is watching. In a private room, he meets with Israeli and Arab leaders. The atmosphere is tense. Decades of conflict, bloodshed, and mistrust weigh heavily on every word. Adiel takes the initiative. We are not here today to repeat history, he says calmly. We are here to change it. One of the Arab leaders responds firmly, We've heard promises of peace before. They've all failed. Why would this time be any different? Adiel doesn't hesitate. Because this time it's not about political interests. It's about the future of humanity. Then he turns to the Israeli leaders. Jerusalem cannot continue to be a symbol of conflict. It must become a symbol of unity. For a moment, there is silence. Adiel continues. I propose a historic agreement, peace between Israel and the Arab nations, mutual recognition, shared security, and more. He pauses, gauging the impact of his words. The Temple Mount will be restored, and the Jewish people will be allowed to rebuild their temple. The reaction is immediate. The Arab leaders look at each other, visibly upset. One of them stands up, his face tense. That's impossible, he exclaims. That's our third holiest site. Our mosques are there. From that place our prophet ascended to heaven. We cannot allow it. A murmur of approval ripples across his side of the table. Adiel remains silent for a few seconds, observing, calculating. Then he speaks. I understand your position, he says calmly, and I deeply respect it. His tone isn't confrontational, it's engaging. But listen carefully. You already have places where you can worship Allah. Recognized, protected, established places. Now he looks to both sides. But the Jewish people, they have no place to worship their God. Silence returns. How long will we continue repeating the same cycle of conflict? How long will history be marked by division? His voice deepens. There can be no more enmity between Arabs and Jews, because you are not enemies, you are family. The words fall with weight. Both are children of Abraham. Faces begin to change. And a family is not destined to be destroyed, but to be reconciled. Adiel takes a step forward. Remember what has happened recently. Millions have disappeared. The world has been shaken by something we still don't fully understand. He pauses, letting fear creep back into everyone's minds. There are greater forces out there. We can't afford to remain divided. His voice turns firm. We must stand together. We must stand united. This is the only way to survive and to thrive. He looks directly at the Arab leaders. Trust me. The silence is different now. It's no longer rejection. It's reflection. The negotiations continue, intense, profound. Every word is measured, every argument carefully constructed. But little by little, the barriers begin to fall. Finally, it happens. We accept, says one of the leaders, his voice restrained. Then another, and another. The agreement is signed, peace between Jews and Arabs, and authorization for the reconstruction of the Third Temple on the Temple Mount. The news shakes the world. In Jerusalem, the reaction is immediate. Thousands of Jews celebrate. Rabbis weep with joy. Songs, dances, prayers. The city vibrates with a hope unseen for centuries. Adiel, in the midst of that historic moment, signs a pact with the people for a period of 7 years, fulfilling what had been announced centuries before by the prophet Daniel. The ruler will sign a treaty with the people for a period of 7. The rabbis watch him in amazement. Some begin to whisper, then to proclaim, "It's him, the Messiah has arrived." Amidst that clamor among the multitude of rabbis, a man of solemn presence slowly advances. He is a wise rabbi, about 60 years old, respected by all. His name is Azariah. His steps are firm. His face reflects authority and discernment. He approaches Adiel, observes him silently for a moment, as if confirming within himself what his eyes behold. Then he raises his voice. "Children of Israel," he says solemnly, "today our eyes see what our fathers long to see. The time has come." A reverent silence fills the place. Azarias takes a horn of oil, raises it, and places his hand on Adiel's head. "Today we anoint you as leader over Israel." The oil descends slowly while ancient prayers begin to rise. The proclamation becomes public. Adiel is anointed amidst solemn ceremonies. Oil is poured, prayers are offered, and voices are choked with emotion. Then, in Jerusalem, before an immense crowd, Adiel speaks. "People of Israel," his voice resonates with authority. "Today is no ordinary day. Today is the fulfillment of a hope that has lived in your hearts for generations." The crowd remains completely silent. "I have come to restore the glory of this nation, to raise up what was torn down, to return Jerusalem to its rightful place among the nations." His words pierce deeply. "I am not here by chance. I am a descendant of the house of David, and I have been called for this time." A murmur of amazement ripples through the crowd. Today begins a new era for Israel, an era of peace, prosperity, and glory. The reaction is immediate. "The Messiah!" some shout. "The Messiah has arrived!" The emotion is indescribable. Days later, before construction begins, an ancient ritual is performed, the sacrifice of the red cow. Its purpose is to purify the priests and the sacred site. Everything is carried out with precision, following ancestral traditions. Then, the reconstruction begins. The world watches in awe. Thanks to Israel's advanced technology, the temple rises in a matter of months. Stone upon stone, every detail meticulously designed. It is majestic, awe-inspiring, glorious. Finally, the day of consecration arrives. Levite priests, dressed according to tradition, prepare the animals for the inaugural sacrifices. The atmosphere is solemn, sacred. Before the sacrifice, Adiel is invited to speak. He stands in the center. He looks at the temple, then at the people. "Brothers," he begins, "our ancestor Solomon was the first to build a house to Jehovah in this place." Her voice is deep, laden with history. "But the Babylonians came and destroyed the temple, taking our people captive to Babylon." The crowd listens in reverent silence. However, by the mercy of God, after 70 years, our brothers returned to Jerusalem, and under the leadership of Zerubbabel, the temple was rebuilt. He pauses. Later, Herod embellished it, but once again it was destroyed, this time by the Romans. The weight of history is felt in every word. And today, after more than 2,000 years, we are here. His voice rises. "Today we are rebuilding the house of the Lord in Jerusalem, and this time no one will destroy it again. So rejoice, be glad, for the time of Israel's glory has returned." "People of Israel," he proclaims, "what our eyes are seeing is not the work of men. It is the fulfillment of the eternal purpose. Today, not only is a temple being built, today a new era is dawning for our nation." He turns to Adiel with respect. "This is the time we have awaited. This is the day we have longed for. Walk in this light, and do not doubt, for glory has returned to Jerusalem. The square erupts in jubilation. Blessed be Adil! Blessed be the Messiah! Glory to Israel! The emotion is overwhelming. And then, the sacrifices begin. Smoke rises. The temple once again is in operation. For a time, everything seems perfect. Under Adil's leadership, prosperity reaches unprecedented levels. Nations, once divided by conflict, now live in apparent harmony. Economies flourish, hunger diminishes, and security increases. Cities gleam with near impeccable order. The world, for the first time in centuries, experiences sustained global peace. People love him. His name is heard in every corner of the planet, in the media, on the streets, in homes. Adil is not just a leader. He is an admired, respected, almost venerated figure. And by his side, there is always Azarias, steadfast, silent, observant, his closest advisor, his right-hand man. But behind that veneer of peace, something begins to brew in secret. One night in a private room far from cameras and the eyes of the world, Adil meets with Azarias. The lighting is dim, the atmosphere heavy. Adil paces slowly back and forth, lost in thought, until he finally stops. "I'm tired," he says softly. Azarias watches him in silence. "Tired of pretending," Adil continues, his tone now firmer. "Tired of seeing people continue to raise their prayers to gods who have given them nothing." She turns, her gaze intense. "Look at them. They're still worshiping, waiting, believing." She pauses. "And who has brought peace?" His voice rises slightly. "Who has restored the world economy? Who has united the nations? Who has done what no one has ever accomplished in all of history?" The silence in the room is heavy. "I did it." The words fall heavily. Azarias tilts his head slightly, listening attentively. "And yet," Adil continues, "they keep looking up at the sky when they should be looking at me." He slowly approaches Azarias. "I am not just any man. I have brought prosperity. I have brought peace. I have changed the destiny of humanity." He pauses, and then says it. "They should worship me." The atmosphere becomes tense. Azarias replies in a firm and reverent voice, "There is no one like you. What you have done, no man has ever done it. Take one step closer. You have risen above all others. You have established an order that not even the greatest empires could achieve." His words intensify. "If there is anyone worthy of being recognized as superior, it is you." Adil closes his eyes for a moment, as if confirming what he already believed. Then he speaks again, his voice colder, more determined. "And there's something else." Azarias raises his gaze. "In Jerusalem, in that temple that I helped to build, they worship that invisible God, Jehovah, but he never reveals himself." He walks slowly. A majestic temple, dedicated to a God who doesn't answer, who doesn't let himself be seen. He stops. "That place should be mine." Azarias remains silent, attentive. "I should be worshipped there." "And so it shall be," Adil continued. "I will bring my presence to that place. I will place my throne in that temple, and all of humanity will come to prostrate themselves before me." The atmosphere grows even more tense. "That will be the center of the world, and I will be the center of everything." Azarias replies with conviction, "So it shall be." Adil observes him, completely determined. "It's time," he says. "I'm going to establish a system, absolute control." His tone is cold, calculated. "A chip." He pauses briefly. "Everyone in the world will have one." Azarias frowns slightly, intrigued. "With that system, no one will be able to buy or sell without being registered. No one will be able to move outside the order I establish," Adil continued. Her voice is now firm, commanding. "It will be presented as security, as protection, as progress." A slight smile appears on her face. "But in reality, it will be total control." Azarias nods slowly. "One system, one government, one leader." Adil stares at him, and no one will be able to question it. For a moment, the atmosphere falls into a profound silence, thick with tension. "Because everyone will depend on him." He moves even closer. "And then, the whole world will be under my authority." Azarias responds with firm conviction. "That's the next step. Humanity doesn't just need a leader. It needs someone to follow without question." Adil nods. "And that someone is me." Without another word, he orders Azarias to begin the project of creating a chip that can gather all of a human being's information. And so, it begins. Within days, high-security laboratories are activated in different parts of the world. Teams of scientists, engineers, and advanced technology specialists are assembled under strict secrecy. No one outside the system knows the true purpose. Azarias takes absolute control of the project. "It must be perfect," he orders firmly. "It cannot fail." The screens display diagrams, microscopic circuits, digital structures impossible for the average mind to comprehend. "A single device," he continues, "that contains identity, financial access, complete history, all in one place." The scientists nod. "Yes, sir." Days and nights pass without rest. Production begins. Millions of chips start to be manufactured, small, almost imperceptible, but with unprecedented capacity. The world doesn't know it yet, but something irreversible is taking shape. Sometime later, Adiel decides to visit one of the main facilities. The factory is immense. Automated production lines, robotic arms assembling microscopic parts, cold lights illuminating the environment with surgical precision. Azarias greets him. "Everything is ready," he says confidently. He walks beside him among the machines. "We've managed to integrate all the information into a single device. Identity, records, global economic access, absolutely everything." They stop in front of a glass table. Azarias takes one of the chips. It's small, almost invisible. He holds it between his fingers. "We've conducted multiple tests," he explains. "The chip adapts perfectly to the human body." Adiel observes silently. "It can be implanted in the forehead or in the right hand." He pauses briefly. "And once it's in place, it's impossible to remove." The atmosphere grows heavy. Adiel carefully picks up the chip. He examines it closely, turning it between his fingers, contemplating what it represents. A faint smile appears on his face. "Very soon," he says softly, "I will be the god of this land." Azarias observes him in silence. Adiel continues with absolute certainty. "And you, Azarias, you will be by my side." He slightly raises the chip. "We will both be the most extraordinary beings that have ever existed." His eyes reflect a cold determination. "So get ready, because very soon it will be 3.5 years since we made the covenant with Israel. And on that day, I will present it in Jerusalem." Azarias nods slowly, but his eyes sparkle with a new idea. "That sounds perfect," he says with a slight smile. "But I have something else in mind." Adiel looks at him, intrigued. "The Roman emperors erected statues in their honor," Azarias continues. "Some were even worshipped as gods." He takes a step toward it. "And you, being the most extraordinary being that has ever existed, you also need one. But this statue will be unique." The atmosphere is thick with anticipation. Adiel smiles. "Perfect," he replies calmly. "I'm leaving everything in your hands, Azarias. Have everything ready for the grand celebration we'll have in Jerusalem when the 3.5 years of the covenant are up." A slight smile appears on his face. "That day, the whole world will know who we really are." Azarias smiles and replies with complete certainty, "It will be so. And besides, don't worry. Everything is under my control. Nothing will go wrong." Adiel nods slowly, satisfied. "Good, Azarias," he says firmly. "I have to go. I have an important meeting at the UN with world leaders." He takes one last look at the chip in his hand, and then at the entire facility. "Make sure everything is ready." Without adding another word, he turns around and leaves, while the constant sound of the machines continues to produce, without rest, that which will change the world forever. The days go by, the anticipation grows, and finally, the day arrives. 3.5 years since that pact that changed history. Jerusalem is preparing like never before. The streets are full. Flags, singing, celebrations. Delegations from all nations have arrived. Cameras from around the world are broadcasting live. On the Temple Mount, everything is ready. The priests prepare the animals for sacrifice. The altar is set. The atmosphere is solemn, but also festive. Meanwhile, in a private room, Adiel and Azarias prepare. Both are silent. Adiel adjusts his clothing, observes his reflection for a moment, and smiles. "Today is the day," he says firmly. Azarias nods. "Today the world will know who you are." Adiel looks at him. "That's right. There will be no more hiding." He heads toward the exit. "Come on, they're waiting for us." They both walk. The doors open, and they leave. When Adiel appears in the temple, the crowd erupts. There is applause, shouts, and cheers, and in one voice they all proclaim, "Blessed is our Messiah! Long live Adiel! Glory to Israel!" Adiel raises his hands, greeting everyone. His presence commands the space, outside the temple before thousands, and millions connected around the world. Azarias takes control. He steps forward. He raises his hand. Silence slowly falls. "Brothers and sisters of Israel by blood," he begins, "and brothers and sisters of all nations." His voice is firm, solemn. "Today we are here to celebrate something that humanity once thought impossible." He pauses. 3.5 years ago, the world was in chaos, division, war, despair. But one man brought peace to the whole world. He turns slightly toward Adiel. Adiel achieved what no one else had. He united Arabs and Israelites. He restored the world economy, and he enabled the reconstruction of the Third Temple. The audience responds with applause. "Today we celebrate not just a pact, we celebrate the beginning of a new era." He extends his hand toward Adiel. "Ladies and gentlemen, the man who changed the destiny of humanity." Adiel steps forward. He takes the microphone. He remains silent. A full minute. The crowd begins to shout, "Blessed are you, Adiel, our Messiah! Long live him!" Adiel remains silent, watching. And just as he is about to speak, a gunshot rings out. The sound cuts through the air. Adiel falls to the ground. Chaos erupts immediately. Shouts, running, security intervenes. "Protect the leader! Neutralize the shooter!" In seconds, the sniper is taken down, but it's too late. Azarias runs toward Adiel. Rabbis, guards, and attendants. They all surround him. "Call an ambulance!" some shout. Azarias takes his pulse. His face changes. "He's dead," he says. The news spreads like wildfire. In minutes, the whole world knows. Adiel is dead. Weeping fills Jerusalem. What will we do now? Who will lead us? The world goes into mourning. The hours pass. Adiel's body is placed in a majestic coffin. Gold, fine details, worthy of the greatest leader who ever lived. Thousands march past. Millions watch. The cameras never leave him. Day 1, day 2, day 3. The world keeps watching, weeping, waiting, not knowing what. And then, something unthinkable happens. The coffin moves, a slight movement, then another. And suddenly, Adiel opens his eyes. He sits up. He gets up. The whole world freezes. Some scream, others watch in amazement and terror. "It's impossible. He's alive," they say. The cameras capture every second. Adiel stands up. He breathes, and he smiles. Azarias stands beside him, raising his voice authoritatively. "Nations of the world, do not fear." He points to Adiel. "Our leader has returned to life." The crowd watches, astonished. "He is not a spirit. He is not an illusion. Look at him." Adiel raises his hands. Azarias continues. "He has conquered death." His voice rises. "And that proves he is no ordinary man. He is a divine being." Some speak of a certain Jesus of Nazareth. They say he also resurrected, but there is no proof, only stories. He points to Adiel. "But this, you've seen it." Adiel has resurrected before everyone. The shock is total. So worship him, because he has proven that he is a divine being. And then, millions fall to their knees. They weep, they scream, they surrender. But not all. The Jews remain standing, terrified. "That is blasphemy," they murmur. "The Torah forbids it." Azarias observes them. "Still don't believe?" He moves a little closer. "What more proof do you need?" The Jews shake their heads. "We will not worship any man. He is not the Messiah, because the Messiah would never do that." The atmosphere shifts. Azarias raises his hands to the sky. Then, look at this. The sky darkens, and suddenly, fire descends from the sky. A roar shakes the place. The crowd screams, but even so, some do not bow. Then Adiel takes the microphone. His voice is no longer the same. It is cold, absolute. "I think there's no longer any doubt about my divinity," he says. "From now on, everyone will worship me." His gaze sweeps over the crowd, and whoever doesn't will die. Azarias speaks again. "They have heard the god Adiel." He points to the guards. "Proceed." The guards advance. Many Jews flee out of Jerusalem, terrified, weeping, saying, "We have been deceived. He is not our Messiah." But others have no time to escape. Jews, and some Gentiles, are arrested and executed. right there, in front of everyone. The crowd freezes. Azarias raises his voice and coldly says, "Do not fear. They died because they opposed the rule of the god Adiel. They were not loyal, despite all that Adiel has done for them." He pauses briefly. "That's why, to demonstrate their loyalty to Adiel, we've created a system." He raises his hand. "A chip. It will be implanted in the right hand, or the forehead." The crowd listens in silence. Without that chip, no one will be able to buy or sell. Fear begins to take hold of the place, and the entire world. Azarias continued, raising his voice slightly. "Thus the new order will be established. The order of the god Adiel. And for this order to be perfect, I have prepared something more." He points into the distance. "Bring the image." A metallic clang is heard in the distance. Doors open. A structure begins to advance, covered in dark cloths. Guards rigidly escort it. The crowd watches, held back by a mixture of astonishment and fear. The cloth falls, and the statue appears, imposing, majestic, a perfect representation of Adiel, towering above all with a commanding presence that commands silence. The details are so precise they seem real. Their eyes, carved with an unsettling depth, appear to observe each person. A murmur ripples through the crowd. Azarias approaches slowly. "This will not be a statue like the others," he says solemnly. "This one will be unique." He raises his hands toward her. The atmosphere changes. A strange wind begins to blow. The silence becomes heavy, almost unbearable. Azarias tilts his head and blows toward the statue. For a moment, nothing happens. And then, the statue moves. A slight creak. Its lips part. The crowd recoils in terror, and then the statue speaks. Its voice is deep, resonant, inhuman. "Anyone who does not worship me will die." The impact is overwhelming. Screams, crying, terror. Azarias raises his voice. "They saw, they heard." He points to the crowd. "There's no excuse, so begin the chip implantation." And so, it begins. Not only in Jerusalem, but all over the world. Images flash across every screen. Entire cities set up implantation centers. Endless lines form from dawn. Streets are packed. Crowds wait their turn. Some move forward with conviction. "It's for safety," they say. "It's the future." Others simply follow the majority. If everyone's doing it, it must be right. But there are also those who doubt, those who observe in silence, those who sense that something is wrong, but don't dare to resist. And yet, they move forward. In a simple house, a father watches his children, weak, sick, without strength. His wife looks at him with anguish. "Don't do it," she whispers. "You know this isn't right." The man presses his lips together. He looks at his children, then at his wife. "We have no food. We have no medicine," he replies, his voice breaking. "If I don't do something, they're going to die." The woman shakes her head, weeping. "God will provide." The man lowers his gaze. "We can't wait any longer." He takes his coat. He approaches his children and strokes them tenderly. "I'll be back." The woman stops him for a moment. "Please, don't do it." But he gently pulls away and leaves the house. The line is long, endless. People are silent, waiting. The man moves forward slowly. He looks around, empty faces, resigned. Finally, his turn arrives. "Right hand or forehead," the operator says. The man hesitates, but extends his hand. The device approaches, a faint sound, and it's all over. The man lowers his gaze and silently accepts what he has done. Her eyes are filled with tears. He puts his things down on the table. "We're safe now," he says, trying to convince himself. But she doesn't answer. She walks away, silently. She goes to a corner of the house. He takes his Bible. He opens it with trembling hands and begins to read Revelation chapter 14, verses 9 through 11. "And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, 'If anyone worships the beast and its image, and receives its mark on his forehead or on his hand, he also will drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which has been poured full strength into the cup of his anger. And he will be tormented with fire and sulfur in the presence of the holy angels and of the Lamb, and the smoke of his torment will rise forever and ever. There will be no rest day or night for those who worship the beast and its image, or for anyone who receives the mark of its name.'" Her hands begin to tremble. Tears fall onto the pages. She closes her eyes. "No," she whispers. She looks toward where her husband is. He is with their children, feeding them, smiling sadly. She bursts into tears. She knows what that means. She knows what has happened. And in the midst of the apparent solution, she understands the most painful reality. Her husband is already condemned for all eternity. Meanwhile, in the cities, the lines continue. Supermarkets are packed, guards at the entrances. Next, scanner in hand. Approved, approved. The doors open, but not everyone gets through. A man approaches, without a chip. I just want to buy some food. The scanner passes over his right hand. Negative. Then they scan his forehead, and again, negative. The guard observes him. You don't have the chip. The man steps back. I just want to buy food. Two guards approach. It's forbidden. Please, my children, the man cries. There is no response. They grab him. They drag him away. People watch in silence. Some lower their gaze. Others simply keep moving forward. The man shouts, "Please!" But no one intervenes. Minutes later, a gunshot, and everything continues as if nothing had happened. Meanwhile, in the mountains, in the deserts, in hidden places, some resist. Entire families flee, without food, without shelter, without safety. We can't go back, one says. They'll kill us. Others can't take it. Hunger consumes them. Fear overwhelms them, and they return to submit. But not all. Some keep fleeing. In Jerusalem and throughout the world, control is absolute. Adiel observes from above. His gaze is cold, calculating. He turns to Azariah. Gather the forces, he orders. Army, police, special units. I want you to find them. Azarias nods. What will we do with them? Adiel answers without hesitation. Give them a choice. He pauses. Let them deny Jesus. Let them get the chip, and they will live. His eyes harden. But if they don't, let them die. Azarias bows his head. So be it. The order is carried out. Helicopters crisscross the skies. The sound of the rotors breaks the silence of the mountains and deserts. Armed forces descend. Armed teams advance through rocks, caves, and hidden paths. They search, they pursue, they hunt. In the mountains, a group of people hear the sound. They're coming! Someone shouts. Panic erupts. Men, women, the elderly, even pregnant women, flee as best they can, exhausted, without food, without water, but they keep running. In the middle of the desert, a couple walks slowly. Their faces are dry, their steps heavy. I can't go on, the man says, almost voiceless. The woman supports him. Hold on, please. Then, the sound of a helicopter. They both stop. They look at each other. They know. They've been found. The helicopter descends. Soldiers get out. They surround them. One of them approaches. Listen, you don't have to die. He shows them water, food. Deny Jesus, get the chip, and you will live. The man stares at the water. His lips are chapped. His hands tremble. For a moment, his mind goes blank. He takes a step, but the woman stops him. No, she whispers. Don't do it. He looks at him with tears in his eyes, but with resolve. It's better to die than to deny it. The man closes his eyes. He takes a deep breath and nods. He turns to the soldiers. We won't. The soldier lowers his gaze. This was his last chance. The woman takes her husband's hand. We'll meet again in eternity with the Lord. A shot, then another. Their bodies fall, together. Elsewhere, the scene repeats itself. Some give in. I'm sorry, I don't want to die. And they receive the chip. Others stand firm. Jesus is Lord, and they are executed. And so, in this terrible pursuit, time passes. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months. Nearly 3.5 years of persecution. Those who flee have no strength left. Their bodies are worn out. Their faces are marked by suffering. The Jews who resist also succumb to weakness. We can't go on, they whisper. Meanwhile, in Jerusalem, something even more terrible is about to happen. In his attempt to crush all resistance, Adiel has gathered the armies of the nations. Tanks, soldiers, weapons, everything points to one target, Jerusalem. He wants to erase all traces of faith, all opposition, everything that doesn't submit. It's the climax, the darkest point, the great tribulation at its peak. But then, when all seems lost, when those who resist have no strength left, when they are surrounded, they cry out with their last breath, "Jesus, help us, save us." And at that moment, it happens. The sky doesn't open gently, it tears open. A glorious light pierces the darkness, illuminating the entire earth. And then, Jesus appears, riding a white horse, his eyes like flames of fire, on his head, many crowns, his garments stained with blood, his name, the Word of God. Behind him, the heavenly armies, and the church, glorified, following him. His presence fills everything. The earth trembles. Heaven responds. Adiel and Azarias see it. Their faces change. Azarias backs away. "What is this?" Adiel, terrified, tries to run away. But it's too late. Jesus descends, with authority, with power, with glory. Adiel's reign ends in an instant. Adiel and Azariah are captured. They do not escape. They do not resist. They are taken prisoner, alive, and thrown into the lake of fire. Those who joined him, those who received the mark, those who worshipped his image, they fall. They are consumed by the word that comes from the mouth of Jesus. But those who resisted, those who did not surrender, those who did not accept the mark, those who remained faithful to the end, are lifted up, restored, comforted, and welcomed by their King. And then, a new era begins, the millennial kingdom. Jesus reigns from Jerusalem, with justice, with truth, with peace, and after the deepest darkness, the light, finally, reigns forever.